Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers War for Cybertron Earthrise Bluestreak. So as we always do, let's take a look at that packaging first, and we'll move him on out of the way. Bring that packaging up close so you guys can get a good look at that. So right there, you've got Bluestreak. Down here, you have Earthrise War for Cybertron Trilogy, Transformers up the side. You have that Earthrise artwork right there. On the side, on the back, you have your product shots. He converts in 15 steps. You have all your warnings down here. You do have the sad baby. On the side, you can see that he is a deluxe class, and you get some pretty good artwork of Bluestreak right there. Up top, you get the Autobot logo, Transformers War for Cybertron, a little Galvatron sneak peek, and on the bottom, you have some manufacturing information. So that's it for the outside packaging. Let's take a look at what comes in there. And first, we'll just take a look at this little insert here. This is just the Earthrise insert, and every once in a while there'll be something cool to see on here. And as you can see, they do come with their little red decoders, of which I have one right here. And you can search high and low on this one, and you can see, yeah, just lines. Yeah, there are no words, no secret messages, no lottery numbers, nothing on this one. And next thing we'll talk about is the sheet of warnings. Yay, I think I'm going to start making a paper airplane collection out of all these. And you get the instructions. And you get 3 accessories. So you get his main rifle. Again, this is kind of the standard issue rifle for this mold. So your Bluestreaks, your Prowls, your smoke screens, sorry, brain farted. So your Bluestreaks, Prowls, smoke screens, they all kind of get this rifle right here. So it's packed with a decent amount of detail, but there's no paint on it. This time around for Bluestreak, it's just molded in a gray plastic. And then you get the 2 in robot, what will be in robot mold, the shoulder mounted guns. So same thing here. You got some decent amount of molded in detail. No paint apps, and they're molded in gray this time around. And that's it as far as what comes in the package, other than the man himself. So we'll bring him in for his close-up. And let's take a look at that head sculpt right there. Looks like he's got some dust on him. Take a look at that head sculpt right there. That's a pretty good looking head sculpt. They all are for this mold, but I think what they've done here, decking him out in this gunmetal gray and the silver and the red with the painted eyes in there, I think look really nice. Got that big bold Autobot logo on the hood there. The clear headlights look really nice. And then down here for the chest area, you get some molded in detail in red and black for the crotch. And you get some detail there on the legs. You have that clear plastic right there for the front of the legs. I think that looks really nice in this mold. Bluestreak comes across looking really, really well. And on the inside there, you do get these little flaps that they do their best to kind of fill in that hollow area. And they're a nice touch. They're not entirely effective, but they're a nice touch. And then, of course, you got a whole lot of car tail end down here. You've got some exhaust pipes and some tail lights. And a bit of spoiler, but I think overall that looks pretty nice. And over here on the side, you have, of course, his wheels, and you have this running up the side here. You do have a port for effects if you want to use it. And then up here at the arms, good detail in those hands. Forearms are in that black, and then you do have a couple of spots here and here on the arms for the effects. Good detail here in the bicep area, and then up on the shoulder. And then, of course, you do have his door wings, and there he is from the back. So even in the insides of the doors, you get good detail in there, something to break up the monotony of the mold. And back of the head looks really nice. Paint apps on this are done very well. There you have the top of the car, and then of course you get the big hollow areas back here, but there's not a whole lot they can do about this just due to transformations, so it is what it is. And then you get the little heels decked out there in red. So overall, I think he looks really nice. And we'll talk about articulation now. So For the head, he's on a ball joint, so you do get some side to side. You do get a decent amount of up and down, and you could go all the way around if you want to. For the shoulders, now the shoulders on this mold, they're a little bit tricky, so just something to be aware of. You can bring the shoulders out this far, but if you look underneath here, you do have the area where the shoulder attaches to the underside, and if you want to detach it, you could bring that arm up even further, but just be aware that if you detach both sides, then that's the only thing that's keeping this chest together. So, and if you move the wing out of the way, you could get a full 360 out of there. You can go all the way around. You do get bicep rotation on mine, and it's very tight, as you can hear. And for the elbow bend, you get just over 90. And you do get wrist rotation. So you can get some pretty good poses out of him with that. And there we go. Let's lift these out of the way. He does have waist rotation, so you could go all the way around. And for the hips, he can do a full split, but not quite a full Van Damme. And he can kick forward very far. He can definitely do the This Is Sparta without a problem. And in the back, he can only kick back that far. So you definitely get a nice kick with him. There you go. This is Sparta. One of those. And for the knee, since we've got him up here due to transformation, you can take that thing all the way in if you want. Now for rotation, he can go all the way around at the thigh, and we just saw the knee, so a significant amount of knee articulation there. And for the foot, you do have the ability, again, some of this is due to transformation, but it's there, so you can do all kinds of back and a little bit of forward with the foot, and you do get some great ankle tilt out of this guy. So all in all, really good articulation. This is great posability on this character. This mold is just a lot of fun. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about transformation on this guy, and we'll get him moving here. So I'm just going to take the arms and straighten those back out just to get everything ready for transformation. So the first thing that you want to do is lift these arms up, and you do want to lift them up right here so you separate this. So you bring the arms up like that, and then you can pull this up over. Just be careful as you're pulling. You don't want to scratch any of the paint here, and you don't want to rub his helmet on the hood, and you don't want to rub the hood on his helmet. So just be really careful when you pull this up to clear that so you don't have any paint rub off. So you can utilize this double hinge and bring it up like that if you want to. That way it clears the head, and then you can just bring this out. And then you have this little flap right here. It's just going to be the top of the hood, so you can swing that around and bring that up until it snaps. Put that in place. And now you could have turned the head around earlier if you wanted to, but this is just the point where I do it. So you can turn the head around, and now you've pretty much got this area ready, but we're going to turn our attention down here to the legs. So we're going to spin this around 180 degrees, and then we're going to straighten these feet out. And we're going to bring these legs together. And when you do, make sure that you flip those flaps up. Don't want to forget those little guys. But when you do, keep in mind that there's only one peg right here. It goes into that port. So when you bring these legs together, you do have a very small tab right here. But my concern is this peg and port. When you bring those legs together, make sure you're not bringing them at an angle or doing anything crazy like that. Keep them as straight as you can and bring them together, because these just seem really fragile to me, and they make me very worried whenever I transform this mold. That's the one downside that I do see to this mold. So just when you bring those together, bring them together straight, and that way everything comes together and you don't break anything. And then you can flip these heels in. Again, there's no particular order. You could have done this first thing if you wanted to. It's just the way that I do it. And now what you're going to do, all this is going to collapse right into this cavity right here. So if you pull this up, and then you're going to just start collapsing all this in. So have it like that. Bring all of that in. and then bring the feet, or the bottoms of the feet up, and then squeeze it, and then that'll all snap in together, and you should have something that looks like that. And at this point, just to keep this from collapsing on you right here, you can just swing these doors in. And when you swing the doors in, you do, it's kind of hard to see in the clear plastic, but you do have this port right here, and then you have the corresponding, or you have this peg, and you have the corresponding port right there. And then you have just this little slot, and then that little tab right there. And when you bring that door together, you can hold all that in. And then do the same thing on the other side over here. And then that holds the car together for you, so you can finish up the last step here. And what I'll do is, after I get the arms in here, I'm going to pull these doors back out, because you do have some slots up here on these arms. But I just do this to make my life easier, because that way the car stays together. So then you bring the arms, they're like this. Bring the arms around, so the wheels are sticking out, of course, and you want it so these ports are both on the bottom of the car. So as the car is driving, you want the ports on the bottom, and then you can bring these arms down. And when you do, like I say, I'm going to open that door, because you do have this tab right here and that slot right there. That's going to line up, and then you can just squeeze that together. Once you have everything aligned. I think I have my fist a little crooked there. There we go. Much better. Okay. And then do the same thing over on the other side. So I'm just going to open that door, bring this down, and then I'm going to align the tab in the arm to the slot in the door. Spin that around just a little bit. There we go. And get all that nice and squeezed together. And double checking all my panels here and all my gaps. There you have Bluestreak in his car mode. And what a great looking car mode it is. I love this mold. I in particular love this paint job for Bluestreak. This just comes across and it looks so nice. So let's bring him in and we'll take a look at those details in car mode. We'll start off in the front. There's that Autobot symbol that we saw earlier on the hood. And then you do have the hood scoop right here, which is a nice touch. You do have these ports right here, which is where you're going to store the weapons in car mode. And then you've got those clear headlights. That blacked out front air dam right there, which looks really well done. And then here on the side, again, I've said it before, I'm not a fan of the mushroom pegs, but at least they don't completely contrast. As I've seen on some of the other iterations of the mold for this, I think they work pretty well here. So they don't particularly detract from this look. And you just have that nice paint job going all the way down, and you do have these really nice curves. Just a sleek vehicle mode. I think it looks great. You got those tail lights decked out in red. You've got the exhaust pipes down there. This clear with that red underneath just comes across looking really phenomenal. I just think that's a beautiful look right there. And you even have the gas cap right there, which is a really nice touch. And of course you do have door handles, and then it's kind of difficult to see. They're not painted, but you do have the windshield wipers there and the windshield. Overall, I think this looks really nice. I love the car mode on this. So there he is from the top. There he is from the bottom. All right. So what we can do is we'll do a couple of vehicle comparisons now. And we'll just take a look at this guy. I've got a wide variety of vehicle comparisons that I want to show you with Bluestreak here, just because he's just an absolutely gorgeous vehicle. So the first one that we'll start with is the G1 Inspiration. So you have your Prowl, Bluestreak, Smokescreen, those guys. So we'll bring in the G1 Prowl. So we'll take a look at the comparisons there. And again, guys, this toy is, 36, 37 years old. It's had a rough life, but it was well loved, is the best way to put it. So a little bit of forgiveness here on the condition of it. But we can take a look at those two guys, and you can see that the Earthrise is just a little bit bigger than the original. So we can do one of these here. And have you guys take a look from the back. And do something like that. So that way you can get a nice look at the Earthrise against the G1. And you can see just from an overall height. Oh, don't fall apart on me, Prowl. So he does have a little bit more length on the G1 mold. Okay, thank you, Prowl. All right, next what we'll do is we will bring in the Siege version of this mold. And again, Prowl will be our model, so we'll bring in the Siege Prowl so you can see those guys together. And give you a angled look like that. And put those guys bumper to bumper. Back to back. And for the most part, these are the same essential mold. The transformation is essentially the same. There are a few design differences, but they're relatively minor, mostly involving the portion of the hood that gets popped through, and then there is a small panel under here where there is not a panel on the Earthrise version of this mold. But transformation is relatively the same. You can see that the arms are configured in the same way. But overall, I think both of these molds are very well done. All right, so that was Prowl in his Cybertronian mode. And now we will bring in Prowl in his Earth mode. So again, these two, for the most part, they're identical other than having a light bar and some paint differences. But the transformation is the same, the engineering is the same on these. You can just see the difference between the two paint molds. And in particular with Prowl, you can really see what I'm talking about with the mushroom pegs on there. I just think these on Bluestreak work a lot better. Just my opinion. All right, so we'll put these two bumper to bumper. And side to side. Back to back. And we'll bring them in so you can see the top. And take a look at the bottom. All right. And the last vehicle mode comparison that I have, it's not really a comparison. It's more just kind of what we did here with G1, kind of an inspiration. It's the same thing. So these were originally Datsuns, and Datsuns became Nissan. And with that mode of thinking, I figured I would go ahead and bring in the Optimus Prime from the Alternity. He was a Nissan GTR. So you can see how he looks there, and he's got a bit of a droopy front bumper here. Sorry, guys. You can see how those two look together. And again, like I say, it's not really much of a comparison. This is just something that I wanted to do for fun. So I'll come up here and give you a close-up again with that droopy bumper. There you go. Okay, so that was it for the vehicle mode comparisons. Let's go ahead and throw his accessories on in vehicle mode, and we'll take a look at that. So the rifle storage, you have this big port right here on top, and you can just stick the rifle in there. And then on the hood for the smaller shoulder-mounted guns in robot mode, they go in the same place as they would in the robot mode. It's just now it's the hood of the car up by the windshield. So there you go. That is the weapon storage in vehicle mode for Bluestreak. And other than the port on top, there's really no effects compatibility in vehicle mode. So, you know, I guess if you were so inclined, you could have him taking a hit, doing something like that. But that's really all there is in vehicle mode as far as effects go. All right, so let's go ahead and transform Bluestreak back to his robot mode. So the easiest way, the way I do it, is I just pop these doors right here, and then I'll bring these arms straight out, and then I will bring them out from underneath the car like that. And then I'll just turn him around, and I'll turn my attention down here to the lower part or the legs and just bring that down. And then at this point, pull down on the feet a little bit, and then you can accordion all of this out and just expand all that. And what I was mentioning here earlier with the peg, when you split these apart, it's also very careful. You don't want to do, and I'm not going to do it on the figure, you don't want to do one of these because there's the potential that you could pop that peg. So you want to just, oh so gently, you know, give it a little bit of a wiggle. And you can also take advantage of coming in here with your thumbs and spreading it there. And then that'll just pop that open, and it'll give you the right kind of leverage that you need. So you can pop those legs apart. Don't forget to bring the heels down. And then turn that waist 180 degrees. And then you can turn your attention back up here to the body. So you have this tab, or this part of the hood right here. You're just going to want to push down on that so you can get the head cleared. And again, take advantage of this double hinge assembly back here. So you can just align everything, and then you can slide that head right on through, and do your best not to rub anything. And then once you get it cleared, then you can just, trying to give you guys a good look here. You have this little slot right here, and then you have this thin tab right there, and then that's what it rests on. So when you bring all of this through, what you're looking to do then is to just line those up. And then once you have those there, then you'll notice that you have these tabs right there that are going to align to the slots right under there. So you get everything lined up, and then you can bring these down, and you'll tab the arms into those slots. There you go. And then once you have those tabbed in, then your chest should be on securely. Then you can just turn the head around, turn these 90 degrees so the ports face up, and then bring those arms down. And once you've done that, you have Bluestreak back in his robot mode. And then it's just a matter of cleanup and posing and whatever you want to do with the guy. If I did have a complaint about this mold, it would be that because, and I guess it's not really a complaint, I guess I should be careful what I say. The pins right here are so tight on mine that when I start pulling him up, this whole assembly comes out. So I kind of have to hold on to the top of the shoulder, so whenever I'm doing any kind of posing with him. But again, I guess having them tight is better than having them loose. So I don't know if complaint is the right word here. But let's go ahead and we'll give him his weapons. So you can see him with those weapons on. Put those in the shoulders. And there you have Bluestreak with all of his accessories on and ready to go into battle. So before we bring in the effects, we'll go ahead and we'll do the robot mode comparisons. So I'm going to get him straightened up here just a little bit, because I don't want him looking shorter than he actually is. Bring those arms down. There we go. Okay, so I have a very wide array of comparisons in the robot mode just because I wanted to give you a sense of scale. So the first one that I'll start with, again, going back to G1, is I will bring in the G1 smoke screen. And much like my Prowl, he has some issues standing up. He has a tendency to just want to fall like that if you mess with him too much. So, yeah, let's just hope that he stays tall. So there you have Earthrise Bluestreak beside the G1 smokescreen. See how those two look together. And since we're already on a smokescreen roll, let's go ahead and bring in the Transformers Prime smokescreen so you can see how those two look together. And last smokescreen, we'll bring in the Earthrise smokescreen. So the two mold mates, you can see how those two look together. All right, and then we will bring in the Siege version of the mold, and we'll bring in Barricade so you can see how they look together. All right, now we're going to bring in some different comparisons. So let's go ahead and get Siege out of the way. And what we'll do is we will bring in from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the Bayverse, we can bring in Autobot Jolt. So I pulled this guy off the shelf so I could bring him in. He hasn't been in any videos yet, and I figured I'd bring him in for this one. So there is Earthrise Bluestreak beside the Revenge of the Fallen Jolt, who, in my opinion, didn't get enough screen time anyway. He's actually a pretty cool character. And then we will bring in the... Yeah, let's go ahead and do this one. We'll bring in the Transformers Generations Sandstorm. Again, same thing with this guy. I love this character. I need to do a review on him anyway, just because he's so much fun. He's one of my favorite triple changers. Let's move him out of the way. And next we will bring in the Studio Series Bone Crusher. So you can see how he looks next to the Studio Series. All right. Then we will bring in the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. See how those two guys look together. Then we'll bring in the Transformers Earthrise Runabout. Those two guys look pretty cool together. I like that. And last but not least, again, just for a sense of scale, we'll bring in the Transformers Kingdom Inferno. So there you go. There is Bluestreak against a whole myriad of comparisons. Oh, I am so sorry. That was not my last comparison. What was I thinking? This is going to be my last comparison. This is Earthrise Bluestreak versus Transformers Masterpiece Bluestreak. That makes much more sense. So there you go. You can get a close look and see how those two guys look together. I think that they pulled that off pretty well. I like that look. So, you know, even though this guy is a fraction of the price, right, he still has a certain gravitas to him. He pulls it off well. And, you know, of course, Bluestreak, in both versions, they both have their shoulder-mounted cannons. But gosh, even look at those two face sculpts. I'd say that's a pretty good comparison, guys. I don't know about you, but I'd say that's pretty close. All right. So, last thing we'll talk about before we wrap it up is just the effects compatibility on this guy. So, yes, his weapons all have the effects compatibility. So we could get him doing some pew pew bang bang action here. And just get him kind of crazy with some effects. So yeah, he's got all that going on, which is great. And then, of course, yes, he has it all on the side, as we noted earlier. You've got one down here. You have one up here. You have another one down here. You even have some on the sides of the weapons if you wanted to get that crazy. So you could squeeze it on there. And let's see, he has the one back here that you could take advantage of if you wanted to do that. And then, of course, yes, he can fly. So you can just plug a couple on those heel spurs right there. And then you have Bluestreak all kinds of effected up. Poor guy looks like he's having a day. But there you go. All right, so let's take all this off. And we'll wrap it up here. All right, there you go. So yeah, my final thoughts on this guy. I love this mold. And I love the paint job on this mold. And Bluestreak, in my opinion, is an iconic character, and I think that they did a really good job of pulling this off. He looks great. The transformation is fun. It's not too difficult. All the car mode and the robot mode both look good. I think the level of quality on this guy is really high. This mold in general. And I understand, yes, they do have some hollow areas back here. Oops, I forgot one. They do have some hollow areas back here, but they do their best to try to cover it up. And when I transformed him, I forgot to bring those little flaps down. So, you know, the fact that they add these little touches like the flaps, and even in car mode, the gas cap, where is that? Somewhere on the body here. Yeah, there you go. Just little touches like that, molded in detail for the gas cap. That really impresses me. And there have been some not good figures that have come out of the Siege line or the War for Cybertron line, but this is one of the good ones. So I would highly recommend this guy. If you can find him, pick him up. Last I knew, for those who live in North America, I don't know how it is anywhere else, but for those who live in North America, Walgreens has quite a few of this guy. That's actually where I picked him up, was Walgreens. So, you know, if you can find him, definitely pick him up. I think he's a worthy addition. So with that, we'll wrap it up. And thanks, guys, for watching. Like I say at the end of every video, you know, if you like what we do here, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching us on Rumble, of course, give us a rumble there. Leave us some comments. Be sure to subscribe so you can see all of the content as we release it. And yeah, that's it, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.